Minshall here again with Cincinnati Throwing Club, and as promised, we wanted to talk about spikes in the ground and kinetic energy and ground force. So the reason that spikes in the ground is so important, we see a lot of throwers that come into our academy that when they start to go through their delivery, they will pick up their heel. That will, in effect, the heel needs to be in the ground. Like I said, all spikes in the ground. When the kinetic energy is coming from the ground into the ankle, the first part of the kinetic chain, it needs to travel up here to the knee. If you're removing your heel from the ground, you're breaking that portion of the kinetic chain. Keep the heel in the ground to connect the ground force to the knee, which goes into the hip, which will end up in the hip to shoulder separation, comes out through the arm eventually. Okay, it's part of the kinematic sequence, part of the kinetic process. But the most important part of that is to absorb that energy that you're creating from the ground through pushing down hard. Push down into the ground, get the energy back out as it spirals its way up through the kinetic chain. Most importantly, getting to the pelvis and the hips as it's creating torque. That's the max intent of ground force. That's the max intent of keeping your entire foot on the ground, getting all the spikes in the ground. As you can see here, we're going to have Dylan demonstrate for us. Dylan's going to throw and keep his heel in the ground as long as possible. He is currently working on an ankle mobility issue. He's made a lot of progress here, but he's going to attempt to keep his heel in the ground as long as possible to keep the energy coming up through the kinematic sequence into his knee. He's going to have torque integrity all the way through to his hip. Okay, so go ahead and throw. And as you can see in the slow-mo video, Dylan does a good job of rotating his femur properly into his hip. There's still some room for improvement. There's a little bit of a delay there with his heel, but that's been improving. Generating the power plant, hips rotate, arm comes down, good decel pattern, making progress.